Kristin Cabot bought 2 VIP tickets to a Coldplay concert. She used one of them herself. She gave the other seat to someone who was not her husband. Andrew Kitt found out the way millions of people find out about things now. Not from a conversation, not from a confrontation, but from his phone. It was a Tuesday evening. Sources describe him as home with their children when the messages started arriving. Text after text. Call after call. A neighbor's child reportedly ran over with a tablet in hand. And there, on a screen small enough to hold in one palm, Andrew Kitt watched his marriage end in real time. The footage is 30 seconds long. It shows 2 people at a Coldplay concert in the kind of intimate proximity that requires no interpretation. The woman is Kristin Cabot. The man beside her is Andy Byron, the chief executive of Astronomer, a company valued in the hundreds of millions of dollars. When the kiss confines them, they recognize the screen. They pull back. He ducks. She turns away. The crowd laughs. Chris Martin, standing at the microphone, says the line that would be clipped, captioned, and replayed across every platform on the internet within hours. Either they're having an affair, or they're just really shy. That is not a line written for the occasion. That is a man reading a room. Within 24 hours, Andy Byron had resigned from Astronomer. The official statement from the board read, "Our leaders are expected to set the standard in both conduct and accountability." Recently, that standard was not met. Short. Precise. The kind of language written by lawyers who understand that every word is a liability. Andy Byron had built something significant. He was at the helm of a data infrastructure company operating at serious scale. And he lost that position not because of a private decision made in private, but because 60,000 people at a concert venue witnessed the moment, a camera broadcast it to a screen the size of a building, and the internet archived it permanently before anyone could think to ask for it back. But the story of what Andy Byron lost is, in a sense, the easier story to tell. The harder one belongs to Andrew Kitt. Andrew Kitt is the founder and chief executive of Privateer Rum, a premium spirits company with celebrity endorsements, international distribution, and the kind of quiet trajectory that serious entrepreneurs spend decades building. He is not famous. He was not, before that Tuesday evening, a figure whose name appeared in headlines. He was a man running a business, raising children, and 4 months prior to that concert, closing on a $2 million colonial home in one of Massachusetts' most exclusive neighborhoods. 4 bedrooms. 3-car garage. The kind of purchase you make when you are planning for the permanence of something. Neighbors described the Kitts as a power couple. Professional. Polished. The kind of family that appears, from the outside, to have assembled a life with unusual precision and care. And Kristin was not simply Andrew's wife in the conventional sense. Since 2020, according to multiple reports, she had been working alongside him in the business. Her background was in human resources, and she applied that expertise to his company, handling employee relations, building company culture, learning the name of every employee, understanding the preference of every client. She was embedded in the operational architecture of everything Andrew had built. She knew the business the way a co-founder knows a business. She knew it from the inside. That word, embedded, is worth sitting with, because it describes 2 things simultaneously. It describes a woman deeply integrated into a life and a livelihood. And it describes, depending on when you date the beginning of what followed, something closer to a position of access. A vantage point. The question the internet started asking, and the question that does not yet have a clean answer, is, how long? Reddit researchers began constructing timelines from publicly available photographs, company event archives, and social media records. The images they surfaced, of Kristin and Andy Byron at professional events, at conferences, in proximity that, in retrospect, reads differently than it might have at the time, suggested a familiarity that predated the concert by a significant margin. How significant? No source has confirmed with precision. But the pattern, as assembled by people who were not being paid to look and who had no particular reason to stop looking, pointed toward duration. And then came the financial details. According to reporting that circulated in the days following the concert footage, Kristin had opened a separate bank account approximately 6 months before that Tuesday evening. Real estate documents, as described by multiple outlets, indicated she had been quietly liquidating assets. The timing of these actions, placed against the timeline of the concert, the ticket purchase, the seat that Andrew was reportedly supposed to occupy, suggests something that is very difficult to characterize as impulsive. 6 months is not a moment of weakness. 6 months is a plan. And what that sequence of decisions makes you do, When you place the separate account against the asset liquidation against the ticket purchase against the Tuesday evening, is go back and look at every family photograph, every company event, every Christmas morning, and wonder exactly how long the distance existed between what was being performed and what was actually true. Andrew Kitt bought a $2 million home 4 months before the concert. 4 months before the home purchase, by the timeline being described, the separate account may already have been open. These events were not happening in sequence. They were happening simultaneously, in parallel, like two entirely different stories being written in the same house. Sources close to Andrew, in a quote that remains unverified but has been widely circulated, describe his response in 3 words: he will never forgive her. The fuller version, as reported, he feels she betrayed the entire family. He could never make amends after this. He doesn't feel he could ever see her in the same light again. Never forgive. 2 words used once, and then the weight of them just sits there. Andrew Kitt did not create a public spectacle. He did not film a response. He did not appear on a morning show with a prepared statement and a crisis communications team at his elbow. What has been reported of his reaction is grief stated plainly to people he trusted. Not performance, not positioning. Just a man trying to locate language adequate to what had happened to him. She didn't just cheat, he allegedly told a friend. She used me. That distinction matters. Cheating is a rupture, devastating, but containable within the category of personal betrayal. What Andrew appears to be describing is something structurally different. A woman who held intimate knowledge of his business, his finances, his employees, his systems, and who was, by the timeline being described, constructing an exit while still operating as a partner. The company, the home, the life, all of it continued forward on the surface while, beneath the surface, a separate architecture was being built. Her LinkedIn profile was deleted within 12 hours of the concert footage going viral. But screenshots are permanent. The internet had already catalogued what it needed. Venmo transactions were reportedly surfaced by social media researchers, descriptions reading dinner, coffee, and at least one that read, according to circulating reports, "Thanks for last night." Each one a small piece of a larger record that nobody thought to conceal because nobody imagined the camera would find them. This is the part of the story that belongs to the particular cruelty of the present moment. They were not celebrities. They were not politicians accustomed to the mechanics of public exposure. They were an HR director and a tech CEO in Massachusetts who, by all available evidence, believed they were operating in a degree of obscurity that no longer exists. The kiss cam footage was uploaded before the concert ended. By morning it had been viewed by millions of people who had no connection to either of them and who, having seen it, began the work of connecting every available dot. The employee who sat with them at the concert has become the most quietly significant figure in the entire story. She was there. She appears to have been present for the moment the footage captured. Sources inside Astronomer, according to reporting, describe her as having been notably silent about what she witnessed. Whether she was a confidant, a participant in the planning, or simply someone who found herself in an impossible position, that remains unresolved.